Okay, so my topic this morning is life in reverse. So what am I going to talk about? Back up, baby. Back up. No, actually, it's interesting to me because one of the most powerful chapters in the Science of Mind textbook is the chapter on how to use it, where Ernest Holmes takes the time to explain to us how it is that we go about using these principles in a way to experience our lives successfully. To have a successful experience of life, here's how you use it, he's telling us. That's what he's saying, okay? And what I find fascinating about this chapter, because I go back and I reread it all the time, is that I find something every single time that I didn't see before. Don't you have that experience? You see something you've never ever seen before as you're reading it. And what it really boils down to me now as I can start putting it into my own words rather than Ernest Holmes' words, is what he's telling us is that in order to successfully use this philosophy, in order to have a successful experience in this philosophy, we must learn to live life in reverse. We have to be able to turn it around. Everything that we've known up till now, we have to be able to turn it around. See it from a new space. Open up to a new way of seeing not just a little of it, all of it. All of it. Because one thing, I know you've realized this, when you're calling for a change in your life, what you finally realize is that not just a little bitty piece of your life is going to change, is it? Your life, your entire life is going to change. So if your entire life is going to change, we have to begin to rethink everything. But what you find as you're operating from this concept of life in reverse is you begin to realize that everything that you're asked to do in this teaching and other truth or new thought philosophies, what you realize is that everything that you're being asked to do is almost the total opposite of the way that you were originally taught. Yeah. So today, I'm going to be right up front with you because I'm going to tell you right up front that living life in reverse tends to be very, 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 very uncomfortable. And you know the reason I'm telling you this is because many times this is the part that's kind of left out. And because we don't realize it, we think that because we're experiencing this discomfort, that we must be doing it wrong. Okay? It's kind of like that, it's kind of like the person, anybody who's ever had plastic surgery or seen someone that had a facelift. You know, that person has seen what the before and after promises are like, you know, this is what you look like now. This is what you're going to look like down the road. But what they weren't told about was what they were going to look like the day after. Okay? And if you've ever seen anybody the day after, it looks like they were in a hatchet fight and they were the only ones that didn't have a hatchet. I'm serious. Okay, that's what it looks like. Okay. And so many times, what do? They're on the phone to the doctor, and they say, something's wrong. Something's wrong, because you should see my face. And the doctor's saying, oh, you know, it's okay. This is to be expected. But nobody told me that. Nobody told me that. Living life in reverse is almost, it feels sometimes, for me, almost like living through an earthquake, where my belief system is being shaken up. Where my belief system is being shaken to the very core. because my answers, again, are almost the very opposite of the way that I was originally taught. I must be doing this wrong. I must be doing something wrong. My life is unraveling here. What am I doing wrong? See, in my generation, God, I never thought I'd ever say those words. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. But you know, I was taught that if you want something really, 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 really nice in your life, you have to work really, 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 really hard to have that, okay? And then over the years of studying the science of mind, what I'm hearing now is that rather than physically working really, really hard, what we're required to do is to change our mind. Change your mind, okay? Now that's a shift. That's a tremendous shift from the physical to a mental action now. From taking that physical action to actually taking mental action. And from where from that space that I was brought up in, just that whole idea of changing your mind, being told that that's what you have to do, it feels like you're just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. Is it true? Yeah, it is. It's absolutely true. But then you keep tweaking this understanding. You keep tweaking what it is that they're teaching us. And what you begin to remember is that it's not something in this world that we're trying to get. That what we're working on in mind is something that we already have. Every time I go back to those first chapters, that's what I begin to, whoa, man, he's not saying you got to get it. He's saying you already have it. And I keep tweaking it. And then I begin to hear Ernest Holmes saying, not only do you already have it, you are it. Wow. And you want to say, whoa, why didn't you say that in the beginning? And the problem is he did. Over and over and over and over again. But it's like we can't fathom that we're it. We simply can't fathom an idea that it's all inside, as J.C. Penney would say. You know, I got to get those commercials in there. Okay, it's all inside. It's not somewhere else. And you begin to recognize that that's why Moses was stumbling around the desert for 40 years. Because he couldn't see. He's looking for a promised land somewhere else. Where was it? It was always here. He was looking for it somewhere else. It's kind of like being told that the table has been prepared before us. And then we go outside looking for something to eat. You see what I'm talking about? Because we can't fathom that it's here. That it's all here, that it's all given, that it's all ours, and that we're it. This is life in reverse, where we begin to come back to square one and start over. Start over. But it feels like we're working backwards. And that's really what we're doing. We're working in reverse. Dr. Ernest Holmes told us, he said, if we don't like what's showing up in our lives, we simply begin to affirm the opposite. There it is. He's saying, turn it around. Begin to affirm the opposite. Be willing to reverse your previous position, he's saying. And that's what this talk is about this morning. It's about being willing to reverse the way that we've been thinking, to be able to reverse our engines, to turn around and live life in reverse, and in doing that, to align ourselves with the way that the spiritual laws and principles actually work. And what we find out is that instead of us trying to work them, they work perfectly when we simply align with them. Now that sounds so simple, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound simple? I was reading, I go back to this statement often, Greg Braden, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief. He said that when the laws of physics changed, all of the scientific practices that relied upon those laws should have done so as well.